Good morning. I have a really great horse story to share with you. I do equine-assisted psychotherapy is one of the things that I do as a therapist. And so one time, and like everyone, if I share something, it's always about details are changed, but this happened 20 years ago to me when I had first gotten into doing equine-assisted psychotherapy. It was in Washington. And so someone referred to me, a woman who wanted to become an actress, but her eating disorder was getting in the way of her. And so just getting into this work, the cool part about the true equine-assisted psychotherapy, that's horse-assisted psychotherapy. Some people say equine, I say equine. But it was like the woman came to me and she said, I really have this great ability to be a famous actress. I know that I do. In fact, she really was. She'd done a lot of work around the city. But my eating disorder is going to keep me from really doing what I want to do. And so what I did, which is what we often do at the beginning of a horse session, is, okay, well, pick a horse. I had the ability to work with many horses at my friend's little ranch, and I said, pick a horse that represents your actress self. And she picked this great, big, beautiful, white male horse. He was stunning. His name was Justice, and I said, okay, well, go connect with him. And Justice can be a sort of a mean horse, but he loved her. He was connecting with her. She was petting him. She was crying. It was wonderful. And then she said, okay, we're connected. I can see that he represents my true self, my actress self. And I said, well, pick a horse that represents your eating disorder. And it was in the spring, and she picked this horse named Shadow. He was a pony, and he was shedding very badly. He was a healthy horse, didn't look healthy, though, because the fur was just coming off. He looked bad. And so she walked up to him, and she said, yeah, that's it. Looks just like that. And I said, well, what do you want to do with that part of you? And she said, I want to get rid of it. I don't want it anymore. I'm sick of it. And so in the true work equine therapy that I do, you always have a second human. There's two of us at work together with the horse and the client. And so I said, okay, we'll take Shadow, your eating disorder, to the horse handler. And she was crying on the way that she was walking Shadow to the horse handler, the eating disorder. And I said, so what are your tears about? Well, it's sad, but I need to get rid of this part of me. And I said, okay. Because what was so wonderful about this kind of work, too, is it's not about any theories that I have at all. It's always between the client and the horse. And so she took Shadow, so now what do you want to do? And she says, well, I'm going to go be who I am. I'm going to go back and be with Justice, my actress self. And so Justice was even still remembering this 20 years ago, it gets to me every time. Justice is waiting in the corral for her, or he's standing there. She walks in thinking they're going to reconnect, and he runs from her, gets as close, he's in this corral, but as close as he can to the pony, Shadow, the eating disorder, and starts whinnying louder than I've ever heard him whinny before. He is like, it sounds like he's crying for Shadow, and then he's running up and down the fence, whinnying at Shadow. Now my client is laying on the ground crying. And I said, what's happening now? And she says, well, I guess I can't get rid of that part of myself. And what do you want to do? It's always what they want to do. I want to go get the pony, and I don't know what'll happen. And so they all three, the two horses and my client, they're in the corral now together, and they're all together. Justice is fine, the white horse, and she's walking around, and they're following her. So it sounds sort of miraculous, doesn't it? I mean, how can that happen? But it's not woo-woo with horses. They're amazing beings that have lived millions of years by relying on their deep instinct or their deep knowing. If we were anthropomorphizing, we could say, well, they're connecting to that inner knowing voice. And maybe they are. That's sort of what I think. But so back to the story of my client. She came to me talking about different parts. She said that had this one part of her that had the eating disorder. Another part was this great actress. And so in just a few sessions later, she was able to really manage the eating disorder by loving it, by holding it and caring for it. It was a part of her that helped her survive her childhood. Now, for some people, talking about parts of themselves sounds scary. It's like somehow I am so messed up. I have different parts, different voices. And the thing is, it's not to worry. We humans have been doing parts work for a very long time. We all have different parts. So for example, if you have a dog or a cat child, you probably speak differently to your dog or your cat child than you might to a person at the grocery store. When I'm talking to Romeo, it's a voice for him. If I talk to other dogs like that, he's like, wait a minute, that's your voice for me. But I certainly don't talk to Nat the way I talk to Romeo. I love you so much. You're the best in the world. Maybe we should talk to each other like that. And the way you speak to your best friend might be different than the way you speak to someone at 7-Eleven. And so, do you have 7-Elevens here in Rochester? Yeah. So, and also another thing, as we come to unity, we put our feet on our authentic path, our soul path. We each have our own authentic path. And unless we're sharing with like a neighbor who's also coming to unity, which is another reason to bring people to unity, our neighbors, so we can talk, but we don't always share about our true soul's path to people that aren't doing that, because they may think we're sort of wacko. And so now, interestingly, some therapists are capitalizing on this soul work, parts work, as if it's something way new. And it's not new. Just like in the Bible, Jesus was faced with these three inner voices, and he chose to listen to that one clear voice within, just as the Buddha did. And when I was working on this morning, it reminded me of this song from the 80s, called One Clear Voice by Peter Cetera. Does anybody remember that one? I would Google it if you get home and listen to it. But it's like, this is a couple words from the song. The whole world is talking, drowning out my voice. How can I hear myself with all this noise? But all this confusion disappears when I find a quiet place where I can hear one clear voice calling out for me to listen. One clear voice whispers words of wisdom. I close my eyes till I find what I've been missing, and if I'm still, I will hear one clear voice. And that's beautiful. That's what we need to do. But what do we do with these different voices? This is the most important part, I think, about parts work. Certainly listening to the inner knowing. The other part, though, is the inner critic. That's a voice. I have actually never met anyone that doesn't have some form of an inner critic. It sort of develops in childhood to help us negotiate either some rough waters or really hard waters. The inner critic, what do we do with it? It's created to keep us in line. So what we do is that we tell it, as if, like some people say, do you really think you have a thing inside of you called an inner critic? And I go, no, of course not. It's a metaphor. But so we can ask our inner critic, thank you first. Thank you for helping me negotiate rough waters by keeping me in line. But now you get to sit in the back seat. And I'm not going to let you drive the bus anymore. I'm going to drive the bus by connecting to that one clear voice. Now, I've said to my inner critic, if I'm not following my path, you can tell me. You can do some backseat driving and tell me, stay focused. But most of the time, I just almost hear an audible relief when I tell the inner critic part of me, you're not in charge anymore. I'm connected, and I connect to the deeper inner voice within me. So anyway, for our meditation today, I'm going to use the first two steps of a very important prayer process that I use every day. Many of you have heard the mastermind steps, and today we're just going to do step 1 and 2. I let go, I let God, And so our meditation song is one that I've been hearing ever since you sang it last week, Quiet Waters, right? Is that the name of it? So wonderful.
Number.
Page 309.
Quiet waters all around me, quiet thoughts prepare the way, quiet lights aglow within me, glowing brighter as I pray. Quiet waters all around me, quiet thoughts prepare the way, quiet light aglow within me, growing brighter as I pray. One more time. Quiet waters all around me, quiet thoughts prepare the way, quiet light aglow within me, growing brighter as I pray.
So let us continue keeping our eyes closed or closing them and being in this consciousness of quiet waters. Imagining that we are willing to let go and let God. But we do not let go into nothingness when we let go. We let go into the one presence and the one power that is God, perfect love and guiding light. And as we let go and let God, I invite you to imagine that you are near some water. It could be a creek or a lake or a river. And imagine sitting safely by the water. And see yourself putting just part of your foot into the water. And if that feels right, imagine putting the other foot in the water. And allow this to be a way of imagining letting go and letting God. There is something about water that is like God. It holds us up. Water, like the divine, holds us, embraces us. And so imagine the water being like perfect love, relaxing fully, breathing deeply to the very center of your being. Breathe to that deepest inner knowing that is always there. Notice within, where do you hear the voice of the divine most clear? The divine is ever calling each of us, speaking gently and lovingly, telling us, you are not alone. I am with you always. I am with you as transformative love. The voice of the divine speaks, showing us our illumined path, and ever saying, I am with you. I am with you. You are not alone. And so let us be willing to listen. Listen to this voice just for a moment in the silence, just as Jesus heard, as the Buddha heard. We shall also hear the voice of the divine. I am with you. You are not alone. The voice of the divine is ever speaking. I am with you when you are confused or in a quandary as to what to do. Let us simply make a commitment this day, this moment, to listen to the one clear voice. And when we cannot hear it, go to a quiet place where we can, for it is ever speaking. Our wisdom from the voice of the divine will never fail us, will always direct us to our path, so that we can indeed be the one that we have come here to be. And so once again, we can sing together, Quiet Waters.
The second verse this time.
Visions in my mind are clearer, drawing nearer every day. With each taste of sweet fulfillment, I give thanks each time I pray. Visions in my mind are clearer, drawing nearer every day. With each taste of sweet fulfillment, I give thanks each time